Now, the tensions between Israel and Iran have been escalating. Israel, in fact, pounded Iran with airstrikes early Saturday morning. It said in a statement that it was targeting Iran's military targets, and this was in retaliation to the barrage of ballistic missiles that Iran had fired upon Israel earlier this month. In fact, smoke was visible over the city's skyline and explosions were heard in the Iranian capital city of Tehran. At the moment, there is no immediate information on damage or whether there were casualties in the attack or not. The IDF, that is the Israeli Defense Forces, framed these strikes as defensive move to counter the relentless attack by Iran and its allied proxies. At the moment, Israel is focusing on Iranian military. All this while, it is the United States of America that has said that it is keeping a hawk's eye. In fact, the President of United States of America, Joe Biden, is being briefed regularly about the escalation that is taking place between Israel and Iran.
I can now confirm that we have concluded the Israeli response to Iran's attack against Israel. We conducted targeted and precise strikes on military targets in Iran, thwarting immediate threats to the State of Israel. The Israel Defense Forces has fulfilled its mission.
Now, the war has been escalating over the past many days. It's a tit for tat which is being followed. Now, Israel, in a statement, has come out and said that what we did was actually retaliatory action. And they have also given a stern warning to Iran, saying that if you now respond to what we have done, then the escalation will not be ending anytime soon. In fact, India Today's Shiv Arur had an exclusive conversation with Adrian Calomil, who's a terrorism and Middle Eastern scholar. Both of them discussed the fresh escalation that is taking place between Israel and Iran. Listen in.
Is it possible, Adrian, that direct economic facilities like oil facilities or ports were not targeted, perhaps because the United States, has an election coming up and they wouldn't have wanted that, and also the possibility of an oil terminal being struck would have, more directly possibly triggered a larger kind of escalation with, Russia maybe wanting to, step in some way?
Yeah, I'm not sure if it would have triggered a larger escalation drawing in Russia. I think the Russians are probably upset that the drone and missile factories have been hit because the Islamic Republic has been sending them there. You do bring up a great point. I wouldn't be surprised if pressure came down from the United States not to hit those oil facilities, even though the United States is not an importer of Iranian oil.
Could you give us your reading, Adrian, of what you think might actually happen next? The talk of a disengagement in terms of a de-escalation, some kind of a ceasefire agreement. Do you think that the air becomes more clear towards at least talking about that? Both sides have had their say, quote unquote, with their missiles now. Does the atmosphere become a little more conducive towards ceasefire talks?
I really think it does become more conducive only because Tehran is absolutely reeling right now. Their number one threat and their greatest threat to Israel has always been Hezbollah. Or not always, but in recent years, last 20 something years, it's been Hezbollah, and they've been absolutely decimated. If you look at the Houthis, they've been hit. Does the Islamic Republic resort and go back to war by proxy, or do they go back to this type of terrorist attacks that they're known for, such as hitting Israeli embassies in Argentina or a cultural center in Argentina, or striking targets in India? They have made several attempts in India in the past. So we'll have to see. I would think that the Islamic Republic would want to pivot away from this direct confrontation and move it more towards get it away from the region. It's not going in their favor right now. Hamas is a spent force, at least in Gaza.
Final question, Adrian, in that case is, with the US election just a couple of weeks away now, what kind of bearing do you think that that will have on the way things pan out now between Israel and the forces surrounding it. Do you think it's going to have a kind of calming effect, the election?
That's a great question, and I'm not quite sure, because if you look at the Islamic Republic's strategy, this war against Israel and these attacks, it's also a war against the West. And we know that the Islamic Republic is openly trying to meddle in the U.S. elections. Now, does it benefit them one way or another? I think U.S. being uncertain of who the next president is and how it will influence will work in the Islamic Republic's favor. But any communication coming from Biden, you have to remember he's a lame duck. He's a lame duck president at this point.
Yeah. Adrian Calamel, pleasure speaking to you. Thank you for your reading of this unfolding story. We will keep in touch with you and keep tracking this report. Thanks, Adrian.
We'll now break it down for you exactly what is taking place between Israel and Iran. It is Israel that has now hit back. Iran military bases have been attacked near Tehran. This is where the attack has now taken place. Israel is now saying that all that they have done is that they have retaliated to the barrage of missiles that were bombing Israel over the past 15 days. In fact, Syrian military sites have also been struck. So this is Israel taking retaliation and saying that we will also hit back. In fact, Iraq's air defense systems have been bombed. So this is Israel taking both on Iran and on Iraq. And in a very clear statement, they are saying that all that we need to do to protect ourselves, we will do all that. In fact, India Today's Gaurav Sawant had an exclusive conversation with Irina Sukerman, who's the United States security analyst. Both of them discussed the United States' stance in the fresh escalation that is now taking place between Israel and Iran. Listen in.
What are options for Iran now? Ayatollah Ali Khamenei warned in case Israel targets Iran, there will be an intense strike back. 181 ballistic missiles last time. In your appreciation, will there be a bigger response than last time, this time?
Well, that depends on what Israel took down. If they had decimated Iranian Air Force and or degraded their missile and drone capabilities sufficiently, Iran might not be in a position to do any serious retaliation by these conventional means in the near future. They could retaliate by other means, which could include some of their proxies, or they could include cyber attacks and other potential EMP attacks. However, if Israeli airstrikes only damaged some of the facilities and did not fully destroy all of the missile and drone capacity, Iran could significantly increase their future missile air attack against Israel and continue testing Israel's air defense capabilities. We now know that the U.S. placed a THAAD system. This could also mean that U.S. American troops could potentially end up being involved in any future direct attack by Iran on Israel, which is quite undesirable for many reasons. Israel at one point also reached out to the Biden administration about potentially placing a second THAAD system in case a future retaliation from Iran is significantly bigger than the previous attacks, which leads me to believe that the Israelis were concerned that they would not be able to take out sufficient number of missiles, of long-range missiles, and they could continue posing a danger and overwhelm Israel's defense capabilities and even THAAD defense capabilities, which leaves still a lot of room for escalation in the future potentially.